Hi, welcome back! It has been very long. My life is very hectic, but today we're doing something really fun. We're talking about a board game that I really love. It's called Spaceopoly. It's not exactly like Monopoly. This is going to be so fun. I'm going to nerd out so hard, and we even have a special guest. I don't know if you're ready for this, so let's get started in 4, 3, 2, 1. Earth below us, drifting far. Hi, Steven.
Hi!
Longtime fans, longtime viewers, welcome back, my buddy Steven. You haven't been here since the new gender.
Yes.
You were the last time you were here was in the car video. I was still mask presenting at the time. Although
right.
I may have been questioning at the time. The timeline is very wonky. We are talking about board games, which is why I brought him back, because he does board games in real life. He's an expert.
Yeah, I actually make board games.
Also, he loves this game as much as I do. I introduced him and all of my friends to it. I show everyone this board game because I love it. Spaceopoly, you can see it. It's not Monopoly. It's
we cannot emphasize how much this is not Monopoly.
I think on the book, Spaceopoly is not associated with Parker Brothers Incorporated, Hasbro Incorporated, or the board game Monopoly by Parker Brothers Incorporated. They had to specify on the box because they don't own the opoly suffix.
Right.
Suffix, right?
Yes.
So, I don't actually remember where I got this. I would have been about 12 living in Delaware, and I got it. I got it at some, like, science fair or something, because this is very educational. And I've just dragged it around for years. This one's my copy. It's pretty beat to shit. This is Steven's extra copy. We both have 2 boxes each, just for spare parts. Because you can't get this anymore. You know, I did, when I moved to North Carolina, Discovery Place was selling this.
Really?
For like the first year of me living here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I never bought a copy because I had a copy.
Because you had one.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so like, you might have seen this around, but it's a little on the obscure side.
Yeah.
And it's not Monopoly, but it works like Monopoly in some fundamental ways that makes it really easy to share with people.
Right.
So you've got your start square, and unlike Monopoly, which is just like one big circle, square, square circle.
It's a square.
It's but
square
you go in a circle.
You go in a square.
Well, rather than one big like loop.
Also, you go the other direction.
Oh my god! Rather than
you do go that way.
Rather than one big loop, you've got these smaller loops around the gas giants that form one longer trail around the whole board. And you can just kind of go around your favorite planet and collect all their moons if you want to.
The properties operate a little bit differently from Monopoly in that you don't really have the houses and hotels. It's just the more of them that you have, the higher the rent is. So
the card shows the total number of properties in a set. Jupiter has 9, Saturn has like 8, and Neptune and Uranus have 5, I think.
Yeah, and I think even like Monopoly has the rule that once you have them all, it goes up. This doesn't have that; it just continually increases.
Which makes collecting all your favorites really valuable, but also something other players are going to work really hard to stop you from doing.
Yeah, it makes it incentivizes stopping the collection more, I think, than Monopoly, because even though the hotels and houses are, devastating in Monopoly, this has more immediate effects in early game. Mm-hmm. Because you can easily just jump straight to Jupiter, pick up 3 planets, 3 moons, and you're already just crippling people as they come through.
Because they haven't built up any funds yet.
So the biggest difference, and I think this was by design, is it's much faster than Monopoly. There are things in here, number 1, intended to take players out. Number 2, intended to speed up that process of building properties and collecting things on the board.
Yeah, there's a square here that just lets you take a player's property, and there's 2 squares that let you roll to take someone's property, which makes it difficult to, like, hold on to your winnings and your hoard of riches. But those are also really important because trading, though it is in the rules for this game, not really a thing at high-level play. And I say high-level play. Amongst us friends who have played it so much we know the game really well, we're not really trading properties, but actually, I've played this recently with 2 new people. Bet, my boyfriend, and then just like someone Kaylee brought over.
Right.
And because it was their first time, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll trade you a property. They won. Because they completed their mission card. We need to talk about this. Rather than in Monopoly where you have to bankrupt people, there are alternate ways of winning this game rather than just bankrupting all your opponents. So we have these mission cards which tell you to collect, let's just say as an example, Oberon, Umbriel, Ariel, and Titania. Those are 4 of the 5 moons on Uranus. If you collect all 4 of those, you win!
Like, instantly.
Instantly. The moment that property is in your hot little hands, game over, you win. There's a couple exceptions. There's a couple cards that tell you to get a new mission card after you've completed this one.
Right. Return to Earth to get a new mission.
There's some that ask you to shoot people with lasers in order to win, or to be shot with lasers in order to win.
Yes.
We'll get to lasers.
We'll get to the lasers.
There are lasers! But yes, mission cards are the primary method of victory because it's typically not that difficult to complete them. There are some that are harder to complete, some that are really easy, and they really do like range all over the place. Like the one I gave as an example is 4 of the 5 moons on Uranus. If you just ran there early game and got good rolls, you could knock that one out real fast. Uranus is close to the beginning of the board. But then there's ones that have you collecting like 5 to 6 properties scattered all over the map.
Right. And all it takes is one person to get a hold of that, and like once you're playing among people that have been playing as long as we have, we know what most of the mission cards are. So we know when someone starts collecting one here and one here, they're probably going for that.
And then you don't give them anything you have.
Yeah.
You never trade anything because you just don't know if it's going to be that one that ends the game instantly. It's just not worth it. Typically, you can mortgage the cards, and that will be the way to force them out of people's hands late game, but that is very late game.
Right. That's when you get into the Monopoly side of it, which you normally don't get to.
Yeah, because, oh god, fastest game we ever had of this, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's not an outlier. Like 30 minutes is a good length for a game. 20 minutes is on the shorter side, but completely reasonable. We've done that many times.
We've also gone to almost 2 hours.
Yes, it can drag if you play it that way. I don't want to say wrong. I want to say
if you play it that aggressively and don't get missions that are conducive to a quick end.
And there is a certain, and like most board games, there is a certain amount of luck, because the only way to swap out mission cards is to go back to Earth. And if you just don't roll that, you're just kind of the fuck out of luck.
I mean, we've had people get stuck in Jupiter forever because they missed the 2 spaces that can get you out of there.
Yeah, so let's talk about lasers.
Lasers.
We've got these laser tokens. Everyone starts the game with 1, and you collect. You can get them pretty easily from squares on the board that you visit pretty frequently.
Right.
They're like, there's no real Monopoly equivalent to the Federation stations, is there?
I
guess the closest thing would be the chance cards.
Yeah,
but there's no cards. It's just like the space says you get a certain amount of money in a laser token, and you get it.
Right. And there are some, there's collect 800 in a laser, collect 1,000.
No laser. There are a couple no laser ones.
Right. They vary. Some of them have specific instructions.
But the Federation stations are the main place you get lasers, and laser tokens can be used when your ship is within 1 space of another player's ship, and it's the start of your turn. That's important. You can't just be firing these off at any point during your flight.
Right.
You roll the dice, And how much? It's doubles. You're going for doubles. What was the math on
it's doubles, and it's I think 10 times what you roll.
Wasn't it 100?
That's right. That's 100 times what you roll.
So if you roll 2 5s, they owe you $1,000.
Yeah.
Or
if you roll double 6s, they are immediately destroyed.
They're gone from the game.
They're gone from the game. You get all of their stuff.
All of their stuff. It is now yours. And those are actually surprisingly difficult to actually win the game with, because like it's very dice based, but like in some games people will just build up a huge stack of laser tokens, and what else are you gonna do with them but chase people down and murder them in their face?
Yeah. And it's like it's not a guaranteed win trying to get people with lasers, but it works more than it should.
Yeah, especially with these two turbo laser squares.
Well, there's one turbo laser, and then the one that's just shoot any one player.
I also count this as a turbo laser. It just doesn't say turbo laser.
Okay.
Yeah. So this one lets you fire a laser at a player regardless of where they are on the map relative to you. And this one lets you fire at every player at the same time.
In the same shot.
Which is how we got the 15-minute game.
Yes.
Someone, Liliana, I believe it was, landed there.
It's always her.
Liliana landed there and got double 6s really early in the game, and we were just all dead.
We've had like 5 times where someone landed on turbo laser and rolled double 6s and ended the game.
God, and we've even had the version where the mission card that says "Get shot by double 6s" did a sort of Uno reverse victory on
Oh, no, it was better than that. The person who shot had the shoot someone down with double 6s, and then the person getting shot had the get shot with double 6s card.
Ooh, how did we rules lawyer that one?
That the shield overrules the shooting.
Makes sense thematically. See, that's what's so interesting about, like, because I can't even count how many times I've played this game. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you've played a single board game more than 100 times in your life,
you start to see the cracks. Like I can definitively say this game is part of the reason I now make games, because playing this game that many times is what got me to start thinking in terms of game development. To think, okay, this is a good design choice, this is a bad design choice, and to find the corners, find the places where, you know, this terminology doesn't cover this scenario, so we need something to explain that.
Because there are a couple unclear things. Specifically, we've got, this is the Mission to Mars edition. I've never seen the non-Mission to Mars edition. Did you ever find that on eBay?
No. Like, you can find the one like this that has the sticker for 6 players.
Yeah, and you can find the 4-player edition, which we've like scavenged for parts.
Right, but I've never seen one without Mission to Mars.
So the Mars space says you repaired the Sojourner Land Rover and you get a free planet. You get a free property of the uncollected ones. You don't just get someone else's property. That's a different space.
Right, but that space it just says that you do it, so you could land there like 5 times in the course of the game. Yeah, it doesn't specify. So
we like homebrewed some rules where everyone gets to do it once.
Because originally it was, okay, well, someone goes there, repairs the thing, now it's repaired, we can't do that anymore. But that seems kind of unfair.
Yeah.
So there's a few situations like that in here where we had to make something up to cover an edge case that wasn't covered by the rules, because they don't expect people to have played this as often as we have.
Yeah, and there's a couple other places that are kind of weird. Like, there's a rule that says you're not allowed to fire lasers at Earth. There's no space that you could do that.
Right.
So it's just pointless.
Yeah, like, literally the only thing you do is shoot at its gravity.
Yeah. There's also, another thing that distinguishes this from Monopoly is we've talked about the speed of play, but there's also the speed of movement. You get 2 dice. I think, does Monopoly use 2 dice?
Yes.
Okay, you do get 2 dice, and doubles still get you a roll again turn, but unlike in Monopoly, there is no jail.
Right.
You can just keep doing it.
And people have.
Yes, we've had people go for about 5 rounds, and there's a fun little detail rule that is very thematic, where if you are on a doubles roll and you get to roll again, you don't necessarily have to land on anything that you would stop at. So if your 8 brings you to Callisto, and Callisto is owned by someone, you don't have to pay rent because you didn't even land there. What would you be paying rent for? You didn't stop. You just kept going. But you can land there if you want to. It's an option.
Right.
It's very open and freeing. It keeps it, and you get money for rolling doubles.
You get money for rolling doubles, and it also it allows for some exploits, but not unfair exploits.
Yeah, exploits that empower players rather than disempower players.
Right.
Yes, obviously the people who aren't rolling doubles are kind of feeling left out
and not getting rent. But it's, overall it's not that overpowered.
And, like I said, this is very educational. It's very well drawn. The cards have the property cards have all kinds of little factoids on them. They have pronunciation for the moons, which is good because some of them are weird,
Enceladus.
Iapetus.
Yeah,
Saturn's
Iapetus.
got the weird ones.
Yeah.
Those freaking Roman Greek god pantheon names. The manual has just a whole bunch of little factoids. That's why I know I got it at something educational, because this has big educational vibes.
Right, it's too educational to have come from a game shop.
Yes. God, just the memories over the years. We play this in Mr. Friedman's office during Board Game Club, which started as chess club.
Yeah, it was chess club, and then we turned it into board game club because only 3 of us actually played chess.
And we were pretty good at it too. It's just it wasn't enough to keep everyone showing up again. That was not an official club.
It was not.
We paid money to be part of the club overseer office for 2 months and then never bothered again.
Oh yeah, because there was no point.
Yeah, we just showed up at Mr. Friedman's office.
It was more about the sports than it was about us.
Yeah, that whole our high school was weird.
Our high school was a performing arts school that thought it was a sports school.
They were very wrong about that. And we played this, and I'd say Risk were the big games we kept coming back to in board game class.
And Magic, obviously.
Oh yeah, people loved Magic. And that one with the pegs, I remember. You're trying to
Twixt.
Twixt.
The one that Mr. Freeman
Yeah, that was Mr. Freeman. So we played this for I guess for you it was 3 years. Yeah, no, this game is absolutely fantastic. It's a great time. Oh, we have to talk about the Ghost Ship.
We do.
Yes. We're gonna talk about the Ghost Ship. You have the Ghost Ship in your little pack? Okay, so
I wasn't sure if you wanted that in this one or separately.
Because we played this so much, and because we were playing with large groups of people, some people would get out early, or they'd get lasered, or they would just go bankrupt, because that can happen in a larger person games where stuff gets snapped up real fast. In a smaller 3-4 person game, most of the properties aren't going to get snapped up. But once you've got 5 to 6 people, they just get picked up so fast, and everyone's spending money hand over fist in the early game.
Right. So we came up with a concept called the Ghost Ship. We literally took a ship and painted it white because we had extra parts. And I think it was 3 of us worked on the rules. And we came up with this concept of a ship that basically haunts the board and can chase players down. And the entire goal of the Ghost Ship is to chase a player down and shoot them.
With lasers.
With lasers, but without tokens. And if you shoot them with doubles, you take control of that ship.
Which makes it really good for larger groups, because then people are swapping seats. Because you don't want to just hand over all your pile of stuff. You just switch seats, so your money and properties don't have to move around.
It keeps everyone engaged the whole time, rather than getting down to 2 or 3 people.
And the other 3 players are just wandering around doing nothing.
Yeah.
And we really worked hard on these rules.
We did. We
took balanced it.
We spent a couple of months working on the rules.
We balance patched.
We did. We did.
Because we discovered pretty early on that requiring the Ghost Ship to get double 6s the way you need to kill someone if you're a regular player, was prohibitive.
Right.
It was unreasonably difficult, even with the ghost ship having technically unlimited shots.
Right. And then we did things like the ghost ship can ignore gravity because it's not corporeal.
Yeah,
Yep.
like the ghost ship ends up, there are these arrows that indicate which way you're supposed to go around the map, and the ghost ship can't ignore those.
Because it's a ghost.
Yes, which does make it maneuverable, but it's still dependent on rolls.
And
so if it rolls too high or
right.
too low...
Because the normal rules of rolling still apply, so once it starts moving in a direction, it has to continue in that direction. So it is very possible to overshoot the person you're targeting.
Yeah, trying to chase him down. We did have to make it so you weren't allowed to reverse direction. I remember we didn't like specify that in the beginning.
Right.
And people were just like bouncing back and forth.
Right. That was a playtest change.
That didn't work at all. And yeah, so and we added that the ghost ship only gets one shot.
Right.
And the player gets a free return fire.
Yes, they get a free defensive shot to try and basically shake the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And if same rules for the ghost ship as they just have to roll doubles.
Doubles stuns it for a turn.
Right. And the doubles bounces it no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So the doubles would send it back to its start place, which we decided was the moon.
Because it's spooky and haunted.
I think at one point we said the ghost ship couldn't go to Earth.
Well, I do. Yes, we did make that rule because like people would end up there, and there's just no maneuverability around the Earth.
But so it was basically
the Earth has anti-ghost defenses.
Right. So it was doubles sends it back to the moon. Double sixes will send it back and stun it for a turn, so that it's possible to escape. Because without any way to send it somewhere else, it can just chase you infinitely.
Yeah, even with the overshooting problem with numbers, it's really hard to shake the ghost ship. Like, you gotta get real lucky on those rolls.
And I think we did say that you could spend tokens if your free shot missed.
Yes, that's always been something we've decided on, like the laser spaces, where the laser spaces give you a free shot so that people without laser tokens can take advantage of them. But if you have the laser tokens, feel free. And in the exact same way we've had people land on Turbo Laser, double six the whole board, and it's over, we've had people roll up on Turbo Laser with like 8 to 10 tokens.
And miss every time.
Miss them all. Didn't even get a dime out of it. Didn't even... Forget double sixes, they didn't get doubles anything.
Like, we have definitely seen the statistical variation of this game.
I have memorized multiple roll numbers and where they will take you depending on a specific starting point.
Right.
Double sixes on warp 3 lands you right on warp 2 if you just keep going. Which, I'm such a goddamn nerd for knowing that.
I mean, the rest of us know it too, just from how much we've done this.
So, I think we've discussed everything awesome about this game. It's really exciting to play with people. It's fast. It's sneaky. Like the missions add an element of I want to say poker type strategy.
Right.
Like you don't want to give away. Like I will often go to Neptune and try to collect all of Neptune just because it's a good strategy. People think it's my mission. It's not. I'm just trying to get all of it so that I can get money. But so you can do that. You can fake people out and like do stuff that isn't your mission.
But it's an easier game to teach because of the ways they've simplified things. So people that don't like complicated board games can still enjoy this one.
Yes, this is more complicated, I'd say, than Monopoly in terms of like the amount of things you can do, but not more complicated in terms of the math you need to do.
Right. And
Monopoly wants you to do like spreadsheets.
Plus, like I would say this game built friendships rather than destroying them like Monopoly does.
Yeah. But Spaceopoly, I did do research on this, was based on a board game that came before it called Solarquest. There's like a beta version of Spaceopoly called Solarquest that is a little bit more complicated. It has an actual fuel system. This game has fuel docks. They work like the railroads.
Right.
You just kind of want all 4 of them from the other sides of the board, and that's it.
Yeah, they're like a mix of the railroads and the utilities.
Yeah. There's no actual
multiplications,
fuel
the rolls.
system. But in the original Solarquest, there was a fuel system, and that has been re-added to the Solarquest Deluxe Edition that was released in like 2018?
2019.
2019? Yeah, it says 2019. I just got this. I still have not cracked this open for a game with friends. So like I said, I still haven't actually played this with another human being. I'm so ready to do that with you and whatever. We'll get together some people. We have to do this.
Yeah, we definitely have to.
Because, you just look at the board, it's pretty similar. But there's some very specific changes made here.
Right.
There's more moons, for starters. There's more added to Uranus and Neptune, making it harder to get the full set. 5 was really easy to get.
5 is easy to get, and I think Neptune even only had... I think Neptune only had 4.
No, Neptune had 5. I think Uranus had like 6. But the point is, they were easy to get the full set.
They were fairly easy.
Now there's not only those, there's these like new extra like exoplanets that are like, I guess, I mean, Pluto is still part of the board. I appreciate that. They've updated the artwork. I mean, look, they even got the little heart there. For, they added a fuel dock on Earth, and they've just, some minor changes, like the square that lets you take someone's stuff is no longer on Jupiter's orbit.
So you can't just circle until you hit that.
Yeah, which was never like a great strategy because Jupiter's a big place.
But it was very often used.
It was pretty rude. But the big change is we've got an actual fuel system now. You can, there's little magnets on the board that you stick fuel docks to of planets you've bought, and you have to buy fuel to keep moving.
Yeah.
Every time you roll, whatever amount you rolled, if you're leaving a planet, this is your defeating gravity cost.
Right.
And, I mean, we haven't tried this yet. I can foresee this ending games quickly.
Yeah, so this definitely, this feels like a game shortener. I feel like we might end up doing some house rules based on that. Because...
maybe like half your roll?
Or if someone passes you, they can sell you some fuel.
Yeah. Yeah, because the rules as is, if you're out of fuel, you're out of the game immediately. Yeah. Like, that's even faster than lasers, damn.
Right. but I mean, like, you know, logically, you know, if you were moving, eventually you're going to run into something.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the idea is that, like, if you're stuck on Callisto and you run out of fuel to get off of Callisto, someone has to land on Callisto to come and give you some fuel.
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's really nice and pretty. It's just so nice to have this, like, nice, clean, fresh box feel. Because you saw earlier, the board game case is a little beat up on mine.
Yeah,
it's traveled.
Yeah, the older copies have seen a lot. Mine is actually in pretty good shape because I bought it new in plastic only about 7 years ago.
You found it new in plastic on eBay?
Yeah.
Damn.
It was just sitting in a warehouse somewhere, new, and when I got it, it was new in plastic.
Damn. Lucky you.
Yeah. So, like, my copy is in pretty good condition, and my plan is for it to stay that way because, like,
we're so fond of this game.
This can be found. That cannot.
Yeah, and it is genuinely a more, like, complete experience. They've closed a couple holes in the rules.
Right. They gave the rules a pass.
They haven't found everything.
They didn't find all the loopholes that we did. But, like, for example, you know, Mars no longer has the bit about the rover. It's now on the Federation station that would have sent you there originally.
Yeah, so, like, this is much more clear. If you land here, you get a free property.
Right. So it's much more... It's less confusing by not splitting it up. And then things like the asteroid belt, which locks you down until you roll a certain number. Originally it was...
6, 7, or 8.
It was 6, 7, or 8.
the easiest numbers to roll.
Easy numbers to roll. This one is 4, 5, 6, or 8.
But not 7.
Because 7 is the easiest number to get on 2d6.
Mm-hmm.
They've done things like... well, there's mentions in the rules that if you can escape the gravity of a planet, you must. Which was not in the original rules, which is why we would just circle.
Yeah, it was so easy to just be like, well, I can't escape, so I'll just land on aerial, or I'll go over here. And it was something like that wasn't accounted for in the rules that we took huge advantage of.
Yeah.
And that's been closed. But there's other stuff like this Federation, this square still sends you to Earth and tells you to pay money for a doctor.
Yes.
But Earth gives you money. It's go.
Yeah. So
they haven't fixed that.
So there's still some things that we found that they apparently didn't find. I want to say, I thought they had changed Neptune so that you couldn't get everything in the loop, but I guess not.
No, I mean, look, Neptune is still, like, this is something that we noticed over years of playing the game. The Jupiter loop, the Uranus loop, and the Saturn loop all have squares that force you off of them. They're not necessarily easy to land on, but eventually you will leave.
Right.
The numbers will make you leave eventually. Whereas on Neptune, the equivalent space says advance to the property of your choice.
Which you just have to choose something in Neptune.
If you don't want to leave Neptune, you don't have to. That's still true, except for the part that you have to leave now.
Right, except for that ruling now.
Yes, so that is, I guess, still accounted for. So Neptune is no longer, you're allowed to just, like, hang out. And they got rid of the bonus money for being the first to the moon.
Yeah, they did.
I liked that. That was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we could still do that.
I mean, we could.
We've been like homebrewing this for years. No reason to stop now.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's little things like this space in the original would send you to Triton, which is the most expensive property in Neptune. Instead, now it sends you to the fuel dock, which is a little, well...
It's likely to not completely wipe you out.
Right.
Whereas a fully purchased up Neptune Triton was like almost $4,000.
Right.
So thank you so much for joining me on this, Stephen. I knew I had to ask you to be here if I was going to talk about Spaceopoly, and I'm so glad you chose to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I love this game, and I'm actually probably going to start bringing this to cons with me, just to introduce more people to this.
This or your version?
I will probably bring mine for now until I can get a copy of this one.
Alright. Well, till next time, I've been Pluto Burns, and this segment doesn't have a name. Go play some fun games. See, my box is a little beat up.
Yeah, and even...
Oh, God. I'm going to re-say that. Nice, fresh, clean bike.
Turbo laser! Oh, my God!
Ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. You bastard! You're ruining the demo!